Hey everybody, we're back. Right, this gun's had 2 coats of oil, and because it's took it so well, it's gone dark quite quick. I think that's dark enough because the oil will send it a touch darker. So, as smooth as silk, it doesn't need rubbing down yet. We'll put a coat of oil on it. And it's my oil. Shake it well before you use it. Just rub it well in. Don't be scared of using it, just don't leave a lot on when you've finished. Just keep rubbing it in, go over it and over it, over it. You'll feel when it starts to dry, and that's when you need to stop, otherwise it'll start leaving finger marks and things on it. You know, not finger marks, but you know what I mean, like, because you're grain on your fingers, you'll get, in theory, brush marks on it. So just you'll feel it starting to dry under your hands, and when it does, just come off it. And try not to leave any bad marks, streaks on it and things like that, you know. Just plenty on it, it'll soak in, and then you can rub it about with your fingers. Again, this stuff doesn't stay in your hands. It just feels greasy on your hands. But you use a cloth if you don't want to. Just bear in mind it's only wax and oils and things that's in it, but you could be allergic to something, so just be careful. Not let your kids get hold of it. Let's turn it on the other side. That bit over here. Always forget that bit. Don't know why. It's just going to have nice now. Grain's really starting to come out on this gun now. Great when it's done. Really nice gun. This gun will end up, although I'm going to show you how to do it with a matte stroke satin finish for, you know, game shooters and pigeon shooters. This gun's going to be eye gloss because it's only ever going to go to the rifle range. It's not going to dazzle any birds. It's an old gun. He wants it looking, you know, like a bit of a show gun if you like. So he likes his gun's eye gloss. That's what the customer wants. That's what the customer gets. Back over it again. It's really looking nice. Let's just bring it a little light. I'll see if you can see that already, that grain on this. I'll just turn away this way so I can see what you can see, and then I might be able to see with the turn camera. And if you can see that, move it apart a little bit, so just in case you can catch it in a certain light. It's going dark here now. The lighting I have only lights the bench up, just I like to work. But that colours. You can see how it's turned slightly more redder from brown now. It's got this oil on. So that's what I'm saying to you. When you think you're nearly there with the oil, with the stain, stop and put your oil on, because the oil just slightly changes the tone of the colour. I'll go a bit further this time. I know you usually do a little bit, don't I? And then turn the video camera off, but I'll just go a little bit further and then you can get the gist. But what I've just done there is what you do everywhere. So there's not any different. Just keep rubbing it in. You can rub this across the grain. Try and fill the grain as you go. Do that all the time. Rub it across the grain like that. Because, you know, if you do that every time, eventually we will fill the grain up. There's probably people who watch this say, well, I'll restore guns and I don't do this, and I'll restore guns and I don't do that. This isn't a restoration programme. This is trying to show somebody that doesn't normally work with stocks and things a simple way of doing it. It's not how a pro probably sit and do it and charge you 200-300 quid. It's the simplest way I can explain it so you can have it with yourself and you achieve a cracking finish. That's all it's for. It's not to teach you how to be a gun restorer or how to oil guns to Purdy standards. It's to do a gun using my products, somebody else's products, whatever. It doesn't matter. You don't have to buy my products using this video. I hope you do, but you don't have to. But to end up with a nice looking gun, and that's what it's all about. If your gun looks nice and you like your gun and it feels nice, sometimes there might be a little bit in your head that, you know, you might just get that extra clay or that extra pigeon or whatever you want to shoot. Sometimes it's a bit of kidology. You never know. Every little bit helps, doesn't it? It's looking quite nice now. Like a lot of stocks, this stock's actually lighter on this side than it is on the other side. You might not be able to see that. It's a lot darker this side than that side. It's just how it goes through the wood. I've had it before in other ones. It's nothing up with the wood, it's just how it is. And that's your card you dealt. When you buy the gun, that's what you've got. Turn it around. I'll just do this last bit here and then we'll set it aside to dry. So just keep rubbing it in. The more we put onto this, the longer it'll start taking to dry, obviously, because it's not soaking in as far every coat. Obviously, once it starts sitting on top, it's got to air dry as opposed to soaking in and drying, if you see what I mean. Go back over that again. Won't hurt it. It's not dry. It won't. You can keep going over it while you think you can feel it start to dry with your touch, you know. I'll just do that last little bit of top with my hands out when it's stood up. There we have it. Nice colour. I think you'll agree. Just that last little bit at top when fingers are. Hands in there. That's it. First coat of oil on stock. Now what I'll do is I'll come back on and show you second coat when it's dry, and then you don't need to see every coat I put on. It's the exact same process. It'll just make you sat in front of your computer screen longer. I'll come back when I think it's ready and to start finishing it. I'll tell you how many coats I've put on, which makes no difference because some guns take 5 coats, some guns take 15 coats. It all depends how dry the wood is or how tight the grain is and things like that. But I'll come back and put the second coat on with you, and then what I'll do after the second coat, I'll carry on until I'm ready to the next position, and we'll take it from there. Hi everyone, as you can see, it's just about dry after it's had its first coat of oil. Looking quite nice, grain's coming out lovely. So now I'm going to put a second coat on. Firstly, just going to give it a rub down, take any bits off that's not soaked in, just in case. There we go, that's all it needs. Right, so, there. Oil, a good shake every time you use it. Again, obviously it comes in a bottle. I'll just put it in these tins because, as I said before, I'm clumsy and I knock it over. Right, so same procedure again. Plenty on, rub it in. So at this stage you could go across the grain, it helps fill the grain a bit. Just put plenty on. Don't worry if you put too much on. You know, I know I do say, you know, don't leave too much on, but at this stage, what doesn't soak in will sit on top. Obviously, some parts will be denser than others. It doesn't take as much oil. But then we keep oil and before you oil, just whap it down. A piece of kitchen roll or a lint-free cloth or something like that. Just get the excess off and then oil away. I wonder if you can pick that up with the light in here. It's going on quite nice, this gun. As I said, when the varnish was on it, you couldn't see any of this grain. The varnish just seems to neutralise it for some reason. But the customer, the owner of this gun, will be, I'm sure, pleasantly surprised by what we found underneath. And you'll find that with guns such as your more affordable guns, let's say like your Glues, your Webleys and Scotts and things like that, what you'll find is under the finish, more often than not, is a nice piece of Turkish walnut, because from what I can make out, they use sort of a coloured, not a lacquer, but a coloured finish to neutralise all the woods, so basically they all look very much the same. And I do stocks for a few shops, but one of the shops do stocks for supply of glue over and under shotguns, and when they come into the shop they're all sort of all quite brown and neutral, and you get them all out of the box, you wouldn't be able to decide which one's which because they all look the same. And what I do is when they get the new guns in, every now and again I'll go and pick one up, I'll take the factory finish off and put my finish on, and you usually find that one's the first to sell, pure and simple, because it's got a nice piece of shiny wood on it, or matte satin, or whatever they decide to do one, you know. But it's surprising now how just by a better finish on it, the gun sells quicker, which is what shops want. The edges, tops. There you go, that's the second coat, and it's as easy as that. You can just go over it all again if you want, just rub it in a little bit more, it'll just help fill the grain as we go along. And there you have it, that's the second coat. Now what I'll keep doing is, off camera, because you don't need to stand watching me putting these on, I'll keep applying more and more coats up to the point where it stops soaking in. Then we'll come back on camera, we'll buff it up, and that'll be a sort of satin finish, let's say for people that want satin finish in your game and pigeon shooters, as explained in the intro. And once we've done that, then we'll carry on and put the sealing coat on, which the more you put sealing coat on, the better the shine. It's simple as that. Great stuff. Put that there. We'll come back when there's no foil on it. It'll stop soaking in. Hi everyone. Right, as you be oiling your gun, what you'll start to notice when it stops soaking in is that it gets sticky, which is what we want, because that sticky residue now is going to fill your grain. So what I've got here in this little container is some of the stock oil. Pour it in a little container, because once you've done with it, you don't want to put it back in there because there'll be bits of wire wool and things in it. I've got a little piece of 0.000 gauge fine wire wool. So we're going to dip that in here. And what we're going to do is, with the oil and the wire wool, we're going to move round the sticky residue, and what that will do is fill the grain on the gun. So here goes. Put plenty on. Give it a good rub in. So this will reactivate the sticky residue, and it will fill the grain. If you do this every coat, once it starts, it won't. The first coat you put on it'll dry. It won't really dry sticky. It's when it sort of gets to a point where it stops soaking into the gun, because it's sort of saturated, that it sits on the top and starts trying to go sticky. Don't let it dry. You want it when it's sticky. And what that does, in effect, creates a pure oil filler. So this is the finest wire wool you sort of get. So you're not really going to put any marks on your gun if you forget and go the other way slightly. But, you know, try not to, but it doesn't really matter if you do. You're not going to hurt it. We're not pressing on that hard. All we're doing is moving the dry wax around, oil, should I say, or the sticky oil. On the rest of the gun short there, I'll just show you. So I'll just do this bit. Just do this side as well. And you can see. And when you start doing this, when it's sticky, this is where we're getting to the point where, let's say, the people that want a matte stroke satin gun will sort of leave it at that. So I've done that. Just an old cloth just to get all the main stuff off and the bits of wire wool and things like that. It's nooks and crannies. I'll do the rest of the gun when the camera's off. You don't need to watch me do it all. It's on the same process. So that's all the thick off. So now I've got a clean duster here. Really buff it up. Like I said, at this point, this is probably where people that shoot, pigeon shooters, game shooters, things like that, this is probably getting to the position where they would like their gun to be. As I said before in the intro, not everybody wants a shiny gun. But after a couple of coats of oil and a rub down, that's filling the grain. Lovely. It looks great. I know it's a bit awkward with the camera. Keep trying to turn it around so you might catch a glimpse of what it looks like. But obviously, the more times we rub the sticky residue in with the wire wool, the more your grain will disappear. The open grain, and the smoother and better finish you'll get. So if you keep doing that all work your gun, do it as many times as you want. The more you do it, the better your gun will be. Smoother. That feels great already, but this will have a lot more coats of oil on yet and wire wool in the residue. Okay? We'll come back later when we get to the point where we're at the finish basically. So that takes you right up to the finishing procedure. And hopefully then it'll be a lovely gun that's not hard work. Okay. Hey everybody. Right, as you can see, well, hopefully, this is now several coats of Refinish oil where I've let it dry to the point of being tacky. Rubbed it in, buffed it off. Done it again, over and over and over again. It's nearly filled the grain. Nice, very nice. So we'll just get a cloth. Get a buff. Just bring it up, nice. So what you'll find now is anybody that doesn't want a gloss finish on a gun, or a really nice satin finish, oiled, protected. If you can see that. That now is at the point where anybody that don't want an eyeglass gun, just wants a nice sheen, like such as game, pigeon, shooters, things like that. That's at the stage. So at this stage now, I would leave that to stand for a couple of days or so. Every now and again when I walk past it, give it a buff. Just keeps drying it off and drying it off. And then if you want it, then you can put some of the slippery dink scum wax on it, which will just seal it even more, waterproof it even more. And all it'll do is slightly enhance the satin finish. It won't give you a gloss finish. The wax slightly enhances any finish you've got on, but it's not for the finish. It's to waterproof it and protect it. The finish comes in the prep work. But personally, I put wax on it. That's not just because I'm selling it. It'll protect it better. You know, when you're out in woodlands and things like that, rain, mud, muck, dirt, whatever you might probably get on your gun. And that's at the stage of a nice, so it's a semi-satin finish. Like I said, personally, I won't put the wax on it. So the next stage will be for everybody else that wants to carry on with a shiny to eyeglass finish. It looks great. Very nice. But like I say, if you intend on leaving it like that, let it stand a day, so giving it a polish with a clean, lint-free cloth every now and again. Because what you'll find is, where you've got less oils and that in your stock, you know, from cleaning your gun, and then you stand it up in your cabinet and your oil can run through and things like that. If you put too much on, it might sweat, you might just see a little sweat mark. And all you're doing is just rubbing that back in. And there you go. And just leave it as long as you can to dry before you have to use it. You just get an harder finish. The longer it takes, the longer it gets to sit and dry, you'll just get an harder finish. But that's got a lovely finish on it. So like I said, next step will be a shiny gun. Hi everyone. Right, we've done all this oiling, letting it go sticky, cleaning it down, rubbing it in, oil it, let it go sticky, etc. Now we're left with a nice, soft sheen, beautifully smooth stock, and we're going to do the best bit now, I think. We're going to apply the finishing oil. Shake the bottle well before you open it. Put a bit in a cap or a little tin or something and move the bottle out of the way, like I said before. I'm clumsy, I always knock it over. We need to apply this sparingly. We don't want to see runs, drips, it's just sparingly. Put a little dab on with your finger, and that little dab should nearly do all that area. You just move it around, move it. Don't just, if you get to a part where there's no on it, don't just keep putting it on. Keep moving it around with your hand, it'll keep moving. So I'll show you now, look, little dab with my finger, stick it there, and off we go. Rub it in. Really rub it in. And you'll see the shine. Just a dab more. I'm almost instant. See, I've put 2 slight dabs on that. That's people say, oh, your bottles are quite small. Well, yeah, because you don't use any. You don't need a big bottle. The bottle's enough to do several guns several times. And bear in mind, once you've done this process up to the point where you're happy with the finish you've got, you won't put any more of this on anyway. You'll put wax on, hopefully. Just rub it in like that. As you can see, look at the shine coming already, if you can. Do some more of the gun. What you'll do is we'll keep repeating this process, probably 5 times, until we get to the point where we've got a really shiny gun. And then at that point, we'll start wet and drying it down between coats, which gives you an amazing finish. 5,000 wet and dry I'll use for this. Because of the other process, it's really smooth. So you shouldn't, unless you leave some on it somewhere where you shouldn't do if you're putting it on sparingly. 5,000 wet and dry is fine. All we're doing is just knocking the shine off slightly with the wet and dry. We're not trying to rub it away. And we're not trying to rub scratches away, because if you've got scratches now, you've not done the other process correctly. Just up here. I'll just do this side and show you, and then you can get on. I'm not waiting for me to do a full gun. There. I'll look at that already. It's hard to tell in this light, it's not very good lighting, to be honest. But that's one very, very nearly dry coat I've put on there. Imagine that after another 5, then wet and drying a few more coats, it will be like glass. Not slippy, just beautiful. So I'll continue doing the rest. Oops. Try not to damage my gun. See how we go. Okay. Just a quick update, couple of second video, 2-minute video. Up to now this has had 2 coats of my finishing oil on. As you can see, the shine's coming lovely. So what I'll do is I'll put 1 more coat on it, finishing oil, and then we'll wet and dry it in between coats, and that's when you'll really see the shine coming. Okay, I just thought I'd give you a quick clue to what it looks like after a couple of coats. If you followed all my steps, if you like, to the letter, after 2 coats of finishing oil, you should be at this stage, which again, looking at it, it's in between satin and gloss, so it could still be alright as a game gun, you know, reflection, and that's, it's not that bad. It's the main reflection is I've got a wacky grip downlight above me on ceiling, so that's what you can see. Although the world's biggest downlight is the sun, you know, most of the time you're going to be at that angle looking down. So there you go. So when I come back, it'll have had 3 coats on. The gloss will be starting to come through great. We'll wet and dry it down, then between coats, take it from there. But I just thought I'd give you some hope after all this work that after a couple of coats of this, that's what it starts looking like. Okay, thank you. Right, it's now got 3 coats of finish oil on it. As you can see, it's shining great. Depending on how porous and how dry or not your stock is, you might need 1 coat of finishing oil, 6 coats of finishing oil to get to this point. But I'm at this point after 3 coats. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to knock it back slightly with some 5000 wet and dry. All we're doing is just taking the sheen off. We don't want to sand it down, we don't want to rub it away. We're just going to knock the sheen off. One thing you need to be aware of when you're wet and drying down is keep off the edges, any sharp edges like this, because you'll tend, and like such as that bump there, just carefully, because it's very easy to rub through, like such as there, on the bottom of the pistol grip. It's very easy to rub the edges through. We're not rubbing it like mad, we're just taking the sheen off, and every time you do this, put another coat on, the finish will get better. Sand it, coat on, sand it. And what we'll also do is you're taking the slightest touch off the finish. The more you put on, the more you wet and dry between coats, you know, it'll fill the grain even more. If you keep going, you'll end up with a sheet of glass. But you just keep going until you like what you've done and you're happy with it and it's ready for wax. So I'm going to wet and dry this down now, just to show you. I'll not do all of it, I'll do a section. Again, just see if it's at it all night. I'll wet and dry it down, I'll wipe it down, I'll let it dry, and then we'll set the video going again. And I'll just show you putting another coat of oil on, just so you've got it. Right. 5000 wet and dry. You don't need a big piece, that's about 3 inch by 1.5 inch. Fold it in half. Bit of soapy water, it's just water with a little bit of washing up liquid in. Then all you're doing with the grain again, it feels like you're just rubbing paper with water on it. It's that fine, this paper. Keep away from the edges. You can run off them, but don't rub on them, if you see what I mean. Be careful on the spine there. I say, if you've not put a lot of coats, if you've put a fair 3 to 5 coats on, you can get a good rub down. If you've not put a lot of coats on, just bear in mind there's not a lot to rub off. So, keep going with at this point, always with the grain. I mean, even all the way through if you can go with the grain, but I know sometimes it's a little bit awkward, but You just keep going with the grain. Make sure it don't get dry because it can drag. No matter how much water you put on it, it'll wipe off. Bear in mind at this stage it's practically waterproof anyway, so any way you can, go with the grain. As you see, I'm rubbing up, that crease there, I'm rubbing up to it, I'm not rubbing over it. Bottom pistol grip. Turn it around for the side. Just to the butt of the stock and then you get the gist. Once you've done the squarings, you've done the mile, you know what I mean? It's all the same process. Yeah, just don't have to go mad. The more you do this, like, rub it down, put a coat on, rub it down, put a coat on. As I said, the better the finish, and the more you'll fill the grain on the gun. That's enough. That's all it needs. You probably can't tell this light and whatever, but the finish has gone back to sort of a satin finish. If you see further up the stock where there's a shine, the only sort of shine you can see on that is because of the downlights above me, but it is quite satin finish again. We've really gone back to that, as I explained, game shooting looking thing, you know. But if you do that all over your gun, wipe it dry, leave it to stand for a bit, and we'll come back shortly and we'll put the next coat of oil on. Just to show you, you've seen me do it before, but I'll just come back and show you one more time. Okay, cheers. All wet and dried down. It's all dry. What I didn't show you before is the finishing oil. Put in this little bottle. It's like a little dropper bottle. Obviously the idea came to me because, as I keep saying, I'm not bottles over and clumsy, so. But you might think, oh, that's quite small. If you look at some of the other companies' finishing oil, it's quite big. It's got 3 times more liquid in it. But the spot you're going to put on each time is, I'll just show you if we can. That's it. It's minute. And I'll probably put 10 little spots like that on, which is like a teardrop, to do this whole gun. So, get the gun, small drop, yeah, just work it in. Don't need to go on thick. You'll end up with marks and lines on it and you've got to sand it back out again. That's 2 drops. Three drops. Turn it over. 4 drops. Really rub it in. Rub it into grain. The more you rub it in, the more you'll fill your grain. That's 4 drops so far on rifle. 5 drops. Keep moving it about. Keep rubbing it. You'll feel it getting warm. It works better when it's warm. As you rub it, you'll feel your hands getting warm. You know, like the friction. That works best. Turn it over. 6 drops. Bear in mind there's more wood on this than there's a stock and forend. Stand up a bit. 7 drops. Eight drops. Now you see why the bottle's so small. 9 drops. For a stocking forehand, I probably use 5 or 6 drops. That's it, it's covered. Don't need to put any more. And that's rifle stock, which obviously is a bit more real estate on this than there's a stocking forehand, really. And that's it. Let it dry. Keep repeating the process. Oil it, let it dry, wet and dry it, oil it, wet and dry, keep going, so on and so forth, until you're happy with the finish. And I'll keep doing the same here, probably another 4 or 5 coats on this, and wet and dry in between, 5,000 wet and dry. And then we'll come back and we'll put wax on it. Okay? Right. We're now at the stage for the wax. So several, probably 6 coats of finishing oil on it. It's at the stage where the customer wants it, because he's seen it. So now we're going to apply the finishing wax. So sparingly, just a section at a time. Don't need to put a lot on, you've only got to rub it back off again. You just put thin coats, but a lot of coats. That's all we need to do. That's that bit done, so buff that off. It's as easy as that. And that's your first coat of wax on that bit. Nice and shiny, nice and deep, nice and bright. The more coats you put on, the better the finish. So other side. So thin coats, goes on easier, comes off easier. And, don't use deal either, because it doesn't matter how much you put on in one hit. It'll rub the same amount off or leave the same amount on, if you see what I mean. So you don't need to lather it on. I mean, that was hardly any, but a couple of times I dip my finger in, straight off, just about straight off. Okay. Nice gloss finish. Probably a bit too far for this gun, but the reason I've done this gun for free for a friend of mine, because the gun were not in a very good state, so I wanted a gun, not a customer gun if you like, to do on the video. Because obviously when I do a customer guns, I've got to get it done because they want to shoot it. Whereas in effect it didn't matter how long it took this one. So I'll put some more on this side again. But you can just keep doing this and doing this and doing this. And then when you've had enough on one sitting, if you like, when you might have put 2 coats on, 4 coats on, 6 coats on, just put it to one side for an hour or so, then come back and give it a really good buffing, so you get any residue off and shine it up a bit more. But like I say, get an hour or so, just put it to one side, put some on the other side as well. Ideally on first coat, just a small areas at a time. Don't obviously this is second coat because you don't know how. Well, you don't know, but the first coat obviously takes more rubbing off because there's none on it, obviously. So the first coat I usually do, I'd do that bit first, then I'd do that one, then I'd come up here halfway, and then do the rest. But now it's had a coat on, you can go a bit more. And it really does come off that easy. Like I said, once you've had enough and you've done it 3, 4 times, 6 times, 10 times, however bored you get before you've had enough, stand it to one side for an hour or 2 if you can, and then come back, get a good buff, and then it'll be a really good shine like that. If you see in this light, the light's not very good, but you can see the shine. And also, if I went outside now and run that under the outside tap, the water just runs straight off it. It doesn't leave a bead on the gun. It just runs straight off, and it's as simple as that. The stock oil we put on, obviously that's got a level of waterproof on it, but it is waterproof, but the water will sit on the stock oil more often than not. When I've been waxing for a long time, and I go to wash my hands, I put my hands under the tap, turn my hand over, turn it back, my hands are dry. If you've got stock oil in your hands, you turn it over, turn it back, they're still damp. All stock oils are the same. It doesn't matter who makes them, Birchwood case, it doesn't matter what they are. It's the wax that waterproofs it better, in my opinion. I'll give it a third one, just to show you how quick and easy it is. Again, this is just my stock wax. It's on the website and eBay. It's simple as that. Turn it over. Again, the more wax you put on also, if you've still got grain showing, because you might get to a finish you like, but you've still got a little bit of open grain, and that's fine. You know, you go and buy, you'll see new guns in shop, 600 quid starter guns, Brownings, Berettas, this and that. You still see grain. It's not, the grain's not filled in those stocks, not like glass, as Ollie, the old nose bought a gun. So you don't have to, if you don't want to, make it like glass. But the more of this, sorry, not like glass, but the grain 100% filled, but the more of the wax you put on, the more you'll fill the grain. Turn it over, straight off, so no messing about. It's not greasy, like some, mentioning no names. And it's as simple as that. Obviously, I'll carry on doing all the gun, but you don't need to sit watching me doing all that. We've done named it. The show bit. And that's it. It's as easy as that. Look at that shine. Beautiful. Now, as you've been watching this video all the way through, one or two might be saying to yourself, I don't want my gun to look that dark. Well, you don't have to have it that dark. The idea of my stain, which it looks quite dark in the bottle, but it's a lightish reddish colour, is that you can achieve that colour. If I had made the stain really light and you wanted this colour, you wouldn't get to it properly, because at a certain point the wood becomes saturated and the stain, the oils and the finishing oils, everything will stop soaking in. So you might not get it as dark as you want it. But the idea behind my stain is that if you want it dark, pile it on. If you don't want it dark, put some in a container, put a little bit of white spirits in it, shake it up, and you'll get a lighter finish. I don't know if you can tell. Look at the difference. That one had got probably 20% white spirits in it, and it's a lot brown. Well, it's like a normal brown gun that you get off the shelf normally. That's probably got 20-25% white spirits in the same stain. You can thin the stain down to make it lighter, but you can't darken the stain up. If you try and get a light stain, and any stain, if you put enough on, will go dark. But it'll come to a point where you're going to become saturated, it'll stop soaking in. So you'll put the stain on, you'll come to the stain, it's always out there wet through, and you'll have to wipe it off. So if you want a lighter stock, just thin it with a bit of white spirits. It's as simple as that. Just mix a bit, thin it. Don't mix it all, obviously. And then just look at how much you've mixed. You can put it on, let it dry and think, that's all right, carry on. Or once it touches darker, and just put a little bit of the stain in the mixed, thinned stain. And it's as easy as that. I can't explain it no easier. How to do a gun. That's turned out a lovely gun. Absolutely superb, really. To see it would just look like a rough old sweeping brush. Okay, thanks a lot. Right, just to recap what we've done. We took this gun, covered in varnish remover on it, stripped it, we sanded it 320, 600, then we wet it down with water, dried it with the air dryer, the grain fluffed up, rate it to 600 again, nice and smooth like glass. The next stage is the slippery dick stop stain. Apply as many coats of that as you want, as dark as you want it, as light as you want it. It's a quite dark stain. The reason I did the dark stain is because if I'd have done the light stain as opposed to a dark one, the more coats you put on, the darker it'll get. But you're going to get to a point where it gets saturated, it stops soaking in, and that could be at any point and anywhere on your gun. So the idea of that is, if you want a really dark, red, rich walnut colour, bang it on. If you want it lighter, put it in a cap, deodorant cap, something like that, a little bit of white spirits, mix it up, put it on your gun. If that's the right colour, great. If you want it too much darker, put a bit more stain in, a bit more, so on and so forth. Keep going until you get out how you want. But you can always thin the dark stain down and make it lighter. It's harder to make the light stain darker. So that's that one. Then we use the stock oil. Shake it well, because with the different things that's in it, it settles at the bottom. You get a real good shake till there's nothing stuck to the bottom. We applied that evenly but liberally. We'll let it, first coat it soaked in, second coat it soaked in, third coat it stops soaking a little bit, and then that's the point where you want it. When it's sticky, do not let this dry. You want it when it's sticky. Get a cloth, or as I use a little bit of white wool, but a cloth is good. Pour some of that into a cap or a container, dip your cloth in, rub the sticky residue of the gun, of the oil that's on the gun, all the way around the gun until it's all gone, all rubbed in. Get a cloth, wipe it down, buff it up best you can, shine it, and it'll shine after the first coat, I guarantee it. Do it again. Put it on, let it go sticky, not dry. Cloth, dip it in, rub the residue around, it fills the grain. The more you do it, the better it'll look. Finishing oil. If you remember, put that on sparingly. You can put it on what you want, a lint-free cloth, this and that. I use my hands. I just think it's better. That goes on sparingly. Put it on first coat, put it on second coat. Probably after 3 coats, you'll see the shine start to sit on top of wood. It might be here and there at first, but after 3 coats, maybe 4, the gun will have a sheen to it. That's then when we took the 500 wet and dry, dipped in soapy water, and we just took the sheen off it. We didn't press on, we're not sanding the oil off, we're just taking the sheen off. But at the same time, it's also making it like glass. Keep away from the sharp edges, keep out your checkering, on the gun with checkering. And the more you put on of that, the better finish you'll get. You could put 6 on, you could think I like that, you could put 20 on and it could be like glass. Beautiful. It's not slippy. It's just an outstanding finish. Then, when we put all these on, last off, put the gun stop wax on. The gun stop wax will slightly enhance the finish we've just created. So if we got to the stage where it was sort of a game gun where it was satin, you put that on, it stays satin, it would just slightly enhance it. If you take that to a glass finish, and you put that on, it'll still be a glass finish. The idea behind this is it protects it and waterproofs it, and it works. Just keep banging it on. You don't have to wait, put a coat on, get a few seconds, rub it off, put it on. The more you put on, the better it is. When you're finished, or you like it, or you've got bored, whichever one it is, buff it up, set it aside, a couple of 3 hours later, pick it up and give it a really good buff 2 or 3 times with a clean cloth. Just keep buffing it and buffing it and buffing it, and you'll be surprised what you can do. You can run an outside tapping water, just run straight off it. If you want any of these products, which I hope you do after all this, obviously you can buy them from eBay. Just type in slippery dicks, wax, finish oil, gun stain. You go to my website, www.slipperydicksgunwax.co.uk, where you can buy all these and other bits and pieces. There's even a package deal on eBay and on the website where you can buy the whole 4 of these products that we've used for this video. And you save 3 or 4 quid, I think. Just makes it a bit more cost effective. If you have any questions, drop me a line on my Facebook page, Stocks Refinished. If you're interested in having your stock done, again, drop me a line on Stocks Refinished. Also do gold plating, triggers and things like that. Any queries, just send me a message. I hope you enjoyed the video. And what I will do from now on with these products and various guns, every now and again I'll bang a video on. Look what I've done with this one, and I'm just going to put this on, and this says I've done this. And I'll also do a little video we were doing a gun with checkering, because obviously the rifle didn't have checkering on. Just keep out your checkering. All I do with the checkering is I clean it out with a stiff toothbrush and some nail varnish remover. And when I'm putting the stain coat on, which is oil based, I go over everything. Every coat, let it dry, buff all the gun up, the checkering, everything, put it on again, let it dry, buff it up, so on and so forth. And then after that, because that is an oil, it'll protect it, it's got oil in it. Then after that, from staining it, I do it with the checkering again. I do everything all the way around it. The reason I do that is I just think it looks better, it looks a contrast to the gun when it's finished, and it feels sharper. The less you put in the stock, the sharper the checkering will feel. If you're building it up with this, that, this, and wax, all you're going to do is fill your checkering up. So at the point of staining, that's it. It's oil based, it's fine. Straight over the checkering, everything. Buff it all down before you put your second coat on, third coat, fourth coat. Then after that, just go all the way around it. Don't go in the checkering. Okay? Any questions, give me a shout. Thanks a lot. Bye.